overboard. There he is, man overboard. How did that happen? Who doped off? What went wrong to put that man's life in danger? The purpose of this film is to show a few precautions necessary to keep a man from going over the side. But if he does, how to get him back and get him back fast. The first and most important precaution is not to let the man down on deck at all unless the captain has granted permission and the weather is good. Here's the cook requesting permission to go on the main deck to dump garbage. Sorry, Jones, not granted. It's a little too wet and rough, and the captain has instructed the OD to let no one on deck unless absolutely necessary. But here's a different story. The gunner's mate wants to come up to grease the deck gun. Permission granted. All armament must be kept in top shape, and it must be done while the gunner's mate is off watch. He's wearing his life jacket, and the OD knows that as a qualified submariner, he has been thoroughly indoctrinated in safety practices. That's quite right to instruct a lookout to keep one eye on the gunner's mate. But he should have insisted that a second man tend a safety line to the bridge. And he should have notified the captain that a man was going down on deck. Whenever a man is on deck, the OD is responsible for his safety. He must warn the man not to take any chances, and he must enforce that warning. When necessary, he must secure the man by a lifeline, and he must inform the captain, for it only takes one slip and it's man overboard. Man overboard, starboard side. All stop, right full rudder. Man overboard party on deck. Start the DRT and plot the boat's position relative to the man. Both periscopes train on the man off the starboard quarter. You have about 5 seconds to make up your mind. A man's life is at stake. You've got to get back there and pick him up on the first pass. You may not have a second chance. You've got to know your stuff now and know it cold. There is no margin for error, no second guesses. Rudder amidships, all back full. The decision on how to get back to the man depends on the conditions of wind, sea, the amount of sea room, and the maneuvering abilities of your boat. Adapt what you have learned from experience and practice to the method you choose. If there is a wind or sea running, use them. Don't fight them. Under ideal circumstances, the best method to use is straight backing. It's fastest. Man overboard, starboard side. All stop, right full rudder. When stern is clear of man, rudder amidships, all back full. All stop. There is now enough way to coast back to the man. Rudder orders only as necessary to bring the boat up to the man. Back down carefully, just to the man without striking him. And stop the propellers while still some distance from the man to keep him out of the wash. Every man in the man overboard party is wearing an inflatable life belt as they stand by to assist the man in the water. That's it. Smart ship handling is responsible for getting him back aboard promptly and safely. Had it been night or bad weather, the OD would have shifted to batteries to quiet the boat in order to hear the man shout. Also, searchlights from the bridge and a float light on the life ring would have been used. In addition to being fast, straight backing is best where maneuvering room is restricted. In channels and near obstructions. In shoal water. But because it is often difficult or impossible to back a sub away from or across the wind and current, this method can only be used in light seas and winds, force 3 or less. The second method, primary circling, is the best to use in moderate to strong winds and with plenty of sea room. Man overboard. All stop, left full rudder. Stern's clear, all ahead full. When the head has swung 60 degrees from the original course, rudder amidships until the boat has traveled 2 or 3 ship lengths. Then put the rudder over full again. This increases the turning circle of the boat and permits a straight approach to the man on the completion of the turn. When the man is about 3 points on the bow, order all stop. And maneuver boat to bring man close aboard on the lee bow or beam. This is necessary so that the boat will drift down onto the man rather than away from him. If the man is lost from sight at any time, continue the circle until the boat is approximately 50 degrees relative from the original course. 140 degrees true in this case. Steady up, stop the engines and search dead ahead for him. He'll be there. In addition to being fairly fast, the primary circling method can be used in any condition of wind and seas, and can be used with success by an inexperienced ship handler if he learns and understands the method. But it requires considerable sea room, and it is easy to lose sight of the man, particularly in heavy seas, as the boat must get some distance from him while making the turn. The secondary circling method is best suited for conditions of reduced visibility when it is desirable to bring the boat back to her original track. Man overboard, port side. All stop, left full rudder. All ahead full. Steady on the reverse course, here 270 degrees, and run 2 or 3 ship lengths to provide sufficient room for a straight run at the end of the turn. Left full rudder. Come to the original course, 090. All stop. Pick up man on lee bow or beam. This method has the same advantages as the primary circling. Simple for the inexperienced ship handler, fairly fast, and it can be used in all wind and sea conditions. But again, considerable sea room is required, and it is difficult to keep the man in sight as the boat will draw up to 1,200 yards away from him at the furthest point of the maneuver. The fourth method, called Y-backing, is designed to pick the man up while going ahead but without getting as far away from him as is necessary with the circling methods. Man overboard, all stop, right full rudder. As soon as the man is clear, all back full. When headway is lost, shift the rudder, and the boat will start backing, although still swinging in the same direction. When the man is 2 points forward of the beam, all stop. Then all ahead full when the man is broad on the bow and con the boat to bring the man close aboard on the lee bow. The Y backing method may be used only in moderate seas, state 4 or less, because it is difficult to back the boat in heavier weather, and also the man must be kept in sight during the entire maneuver. But since the boat stays close to the man, less sea room is required than with the circling method. Method 5, the Williamson Turn, although the slowest, is the one for very low visibility or when you want to go back down your track. Man overboard, starboard side, all stop, right full rudder. All ahead full. When the boat has swung 60 degrees from the original heading, 150 degrees true here, shift the rudder. Come left to 270 degrees, the reverse of the original course. Ease your rudder. Meet her, and there she is, back on her own track. The man will now be 200 or 300 yards dead ahead and can be easily brought alongside in the boat's lee. The place for the Williamson Turn is in conditions of poor visibility, haze like this, or night when you can't see the man. Any deck officer can master the helm orders with very little practice. But it's the slowest, and the boat will draw nearly a half a mile away from the man. However, it may be used in any condition of wind and seas. And if the absence of the man is not immediately discovered, use the Williamson Turn. You can run slowly back down your track until you spot him. So whenever the emergency of man overboard occurs, there's a method of recovery best adaptable to the conditions existing. Study each method now. Know the characteristics of your boat and how your ship handling will be affected by the various conditions of sea, wind, and weather. Straight backing for restricted water and calm seas. Circling for open water, strong winds, heavy seas, or reduced visibility. Y backing for moderate winds and seas or in restricted waters. The Williamson Turn for poor visibility or when it's desirable to retrace your track. But whatever method you use, be sure you come alongside upwind of the man. Have the man overboard party standing by with a man in an immersion suit ready to go over the side at the end of the approach. This is particularly necessary if the water is cold or rough and the man you're picking up is growing weak. Tend the line carefully and stand by to pull them both back aboard. Watch the rest of those men. Let's not lose any more. That officer on deck is responsible for the safety of the entire man overboard party. On a rough day, a wave could wash over half that party, turning a simple rescue into a disaster. That's why it is so important that every man must wear a life belt or life jacket. That's the conclusion of a successful maneuver, the combination of know-how and smart ship handling. A few simple precautions could have prevented this emergency, but once it happened, the boat had to get to the man and pick him up on the double. The 5 methods shown in this film have been thoroughly tested on all classes of submarines. They'll work. Be sure you know all 5 and how they can be adapted to your situation. And always remember, there's no substitute for sound knowledge when you have the deck and you hear the shout, "Man overboard!"